Hello and a very warm welcome. Driver ratings for the Austrian Grand Prix. All 20 drivers covered as we rate them out of 10 for their weekend. We saw contact between Norris and Max. Wow, driver ratings divides opinion. Let's jump into it. Max 7, marked down. Yes, he had the perfect weekend till Red Bull messed up his stop. Then he had to fight for the win, and he was to blame for the contact with Norris. It was a perfect weekend. Pole in the sprint, wins the sprint. His pole lap was sensational, but he's at fault for moving left towards Norris. Yeah, and he's got a right to be annoyed because Red Bull cost him the win. He was absolutely comfortable, and then, it was a world-class pole lap, but Max has to take the blame for that contact. Sergio Perez 0, an absolute disgrace, and his contract should be ripped up. P8 in qualifying, P7 in the race, behind a Haas is absolutely disgusting and not warrant of a Red Bull drive. You can't hammer Gasly, Albon, and not do it to Perez. That is a disgusting weekend. And Max lost about a minute going back to the pits. He's got a 10-second penalty. He's had a slow stop, and he still finishes ahead of Perez. Perez is a disgrace at the minute. Lewis Hamilton 5, very average. Not at the races all weekends. Qualified 5th, finished 4th. Got a 5-second penalty for coming into the pits and going across the line. Murdered this weekend. George Russell 9. Qualified is P3. Gets almighty lucky to win the race, but he was there to take it. And he's absolutely hammering Lewis Hamilton at the minute. He's destroying him week in, week out. And Mercedes have made big progress, which is good to see. But it was a lucky win, but you got to be there to take it. Charles Leclerc 4, very up and down weekend. Issue in sprint qualifying with a car. He then qualifies 6, big mistake at turn 9. Then contact turn 1 with Piastri, that was just a first lap crash, like contact. Had to change his wing, finished 11th. Carlos Sainz 8, gets a podium. He's been a top Ferrari all weekend. Positive for Carlos, solid. Qualified 4th, finished 3rd. Obviously lucky to get the podium, but yeah. Lando Norris 8. Oh, wow. Lando Norris, where do we start? Because he had a good weekend. Again, he should have won the race. Like, after the pit stop of Red Bull, Norris should win the race, but he couldn't get the overtake done, and he looked very desperate trying to overtake. Now, I'm trying to say this unbiasedly and my straightforward opinion. He couldn't get the job done, and he looked desperate trying to overtake. He looked a bit, rattled. He couldn't get the job done. He literally couldn't overtake Max. Desperate moves, dive bombs, and contact in the end. He had to retire. I'd be worried if I was a Lando fan, because when it comes to critical moments, can he get it done? Can he win that race? And at Austria, he couldn't. Oscar Piastri 8. Now, missed the sprint, has actually ended up finishing 2nd. Obviously, very lucky, but yeah. Piastri P2 in the sprint. He got his time deleted. Now, if he doesn't get that time deleted, Piastri maybe wins his first F1 race. So, yeah, that was a big mistake by Oscar to get track limits. He wasn't happy about it. Fernando Alonso 0. Absolutely 0. P15, no pace. Finishes 18th. He smacked into Guan Yu Zhou, who's minding his own business. One of the worst weekends you can imagine for Fernando Alonso. Awful. Normally, God, wheel to wheel, smashes into Joe. What's he doing? Lance Stroll, 4. Now, I give him 4 because he's beat Alonso. beat him in sprint qualifying. Obviously, main qualifying didn't beat him, but finished ahead in the race. A new contract for Stroll. Aston Martin are awful. They need to find some pace. Frog legs. Gasly, 8. New contract. He gets done for track limits in qualifying, but scores more points. P10. Had a great battle with Ocon, and then a savage message as he said ciao to Esteban Ocon. Yeah. 4th race in the points as well. Positive for Gasly. Esteban Ocon, 5. Once again, a teammate tries to overtake him and he pushes him off. Look through the history. Perez, Alonso, Gasly, they've all had a go with Ocon, and he just doesn't play ball, does he? He had a decent qualifying, made Q3, finishes 12th, and once again he forced Gasly off the track. Alex Albon, 3. Williams, nowhere. And Albon got done by Logan Sargent in the sprint, which is absolutely embarrassing for Alex Albon. So yeah, I'm only giving him 3. Yeah, P15 in the main race, better. I expected better. Logan Sargent, 3. Now I'm going to give him 3 because he beat Albon in the sprint qualifying and beat him in the sprint race. But then back in main qualifying and main race, it was business as usual for Logan, and he damaged his win on the first lap. 1-1, 3. Awful weekend by 1-1. I don't know what's happened to him. Driver of the season, so consistent, reeling points off like a slot machine. And since Canada, that error he made across the grass, he's been worryingly underperforming. So he had a huge spin in sprint qualifying, lucky not to hit the wall. Qualified 14th, mystery race, loss of form, and the car is not delivering for Yuki. Daniel Ricciardo, 8. 250th start. He qualified 11th, finished 9th. A good weekend for Ricciardo, especially when he's got pressure on him. Guan Yu Zhou, 0. Another one, absolutely dreadful, and maybe his contract should be ripped up. Awful. Last, no pace, pit lane start, hit by Alonso, but it was an awful weekend by Steady Eddie. Valtteri Bottas, 5, qualified 18th, finished 16th. He's the top Sauber, so yeah, Sauber are dreadful, still yet to score. Nico Hulkenberg, 9. Honestly, give this guy a top seat, he'll deliver. You stick him in the Red Bull now, he's closer to Max than Perez is. And that is the reality. Nico Hulkenberg is a top driver who's never been given the machinery to show his credentials. Stick him in that Red Bull now with Perez. He is getting podiums. And I stand by that. He's a great driver and once again delivers. P9, Mr. Saturday. And then he finishes P6. Driver of the day for me. Forget Lando Norris, driver of the day. This guy's driver of the day. Fuck the popularity parade that is driver of the day. And give it to a driver who actually is driver of the day. And that is Nico Hulkenberg. With the machine he has, finishing P6 is outstanding. Kevin Magnussen, 8. His best weekend of the season. I said in my preview, watch out for Kevin Magnussen. He goes well round here. Yes, he's behind his teammate, which I didn't expect. But he goes well round here and he scored points. Yeah. Qualified 12th, finished 8th. Double points finish and best race of the season for K-Mag. So, there we have it. Driver ratings for the Austrian Grand Prix. Driver ratings does divide opinion. There's some in there. I've marked Max down. Have to. Yeah. Gotta mark these guys down. No favoritism. Straight down the pipe. I give a rating and I explain why. Comment down below your thoughts. Adios. On to Silverstone next. Can't wait. Honestly, it's going to be spicy at Silverstone. wheel-to-wheel action every lap. Balls out, Norris Max, let's have it.